preemptive dramatic pause, but it is appreciated. Good evening, everyone. My name is John Taves, and I'm the event coordinator here at McNally Robinson Booksellers. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge, you don't need to bluff me. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge that we are here in Treaty 1 territory, and that the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Innuit, Anishinaabe, Dakota, and Dene peoples, the homeland of the Métis Nation. In addition, of course, McNally Robinson Booksellers itself rests on the land once occupied by the Métis community of Brewstertown. It is so good to see so many of you folks here tonight, both in person and online, as we celebrate You'll Pay for This, which is book 1 in the City Project series by Michel Durand-Wood. You may applaud that. We are enormously grateful to Great Plains Press for publishing this and so many incredible books over the years. Great Plains is well known for their books that really just kind of revitalize the way we see the city around us. And this new series that they've started is no different. It's an incredible way of looking at what could be possible here in this city and many others. And we're delighted that you're all here to join in the conversation. There will be a conversation to my left, which will be preceded by something very exciting. And then after that, there'll be an opportunity for you folks to ask questions. So if a question does occur to you, please just raise your hand. I'll approach you with the microphone. And that's just to ensure that those watching on YouTube can hear the questions and prevents us from having to repeat them. I'll be back at the end with some scintillatingly exciting details about signing procedure. But for now, the only thing I will put in your mind is that we'll ask you to remain seated at the end of the event for just a moment while we safely transport Michel over to the table right there. And I'll let you know how you can get a copy of You'll Pay for This signed.
I hope it's in a rickshaw.
The bar is now very high. I now have the great pleasure of introducing tonight's participants before I turn things over to them. So your host, Patty Weins, is of course Winnipeg's first bicycle mayor. Her honor is a board director and newsletter editor for Bike Winnipeg. Patty is a passionate advocate for safe streets, and she spends much of her time promoting year-round cycling on her YouTube channel, Instagram, and on her website. She's been featured on YouTube channels and podcasts, including The War on Cars, Active Towns, Radio Free Urbanism, and Tom Babin's Shifter. She was also named one of Ace Burpee's top 100 most fascinating Manitobans of 2024. She's the host of That's Her Problem, a podcast exploring women's relationships with their communities. Michel Durand-Wood lives in the Winnipeg neighborhood of Elmwood with his wife and 3 children, and he writes about infrastructure and municipal finance at dearwinnipeg.com. His writing has been featured extensively online and in print, including Strong Towns, Streets Blog, USA, CBC, the Winnipeg Free Press, and La Liberté. Please give an incredibly warm round of applause to our guests this evening.
Hi. How are you? Are you excited? Awesome. Well, it really seems like no further introduction is necessary. You already know the 2 celebrities in front of you. And I just want to add, all I did was I didn't want to pay for parking downtown, and now I'm here. I started riding my bike in winter, and when you're on a bike, all roads lead to City Hall. I'm also well known there, in case you're wondering. They don't answer my emails, but they know who I am. I'm here to introduce the City Project series. So this book that you're here to learn about tonight is only the first book. Most cities in North America are facing significant challenges these days, and using Winnipeg as a case study, each book explores one aspect of building a better city for everyone. You will have to stay till the end to hear more about that. The books are very accessible, written in plain language, and you should be able to read it in one afternoon if you get no interruptions. Like those little guys right there. But we like them. You know what? I really like the energy over there. If you guys could come to City Hall sometime, that'd be great. We've already introduced Michel, but You know, as I was reading this book, I was thinking, how can he be smiling all the time? He gets so excited about this stuff. We were there last week and I was saying, is there any hope? And he was very smiley, you know, explaining to me how every city is broke. Yes, sir, do you have a question? Do you want to wait? Okay, good. So I'd love to ask Michel, how can you be so smiley all the time when you're talking that we're broke? Can you tell us a little bit more about your book?
Before I start, can I just say how overwhelmed I am that there are this many people here? To be honest, I'm a little concerned that many of you are lost. This is the book on municipal finance. I was literally like, maybe my parents will be here. Like they said, we'll try to make it if we don't have pickleball. Thank you so much for being here. And I think that to me answers Patty's question about why I can be so hopeful. Look at you. You are the heroes. You are the ones who are going to help us out of this mess, right? The more people know and understand how city finance works, the better off we'll be, because the better policy decisions we'll be making. We are not customers of our city. We are its co-owners. The city is a cooperative nonprofit that we co-own together. And so as its owners, it's our responsibility to understand how it's doing financially. And like I said, you guys knew you were coming for a municipal finance talk, and look at you here. So that's how I can be hopeful, and that's how I can be smiling all the time, because I know that all of you exist. So why did I write the book? For you, so that you can read it, and so then that you can pass on that knowledge to other people. I think the seed was planted for me back in 2007 when the Calvin Community Center in my neighborhood closed down due to lack of maintenance over the years and lack of funds by the city to be able to do the necessary work. And so they closed it. At the time, it didn't really register with me, but it was over a couple of years after that I really started thinking about it, to be like, well, wait a minute, like, why don't we have money to fix the stuff that we already own? Hasn't somebody been planning about this? You know, I was always told, well, you know, the city just has to prioritize. It's just a matter of priorities. But you don't have to prioritize when you have money for everything. When you have money for everything, you just do it. You only need to prioritize when you don't have enough money. And so that got me sort of digging into a very deep rabbit hole to find out why we didn't have money. And fast forward to 2018, when we were about to take a vote on whether we should open Portage and Main to pedestrians. And from everything I had learned up to that point, it was an absolute no-brainer from a financial perspective. From a long-term well-being for the city, we had to do it. And when the vote came back, 65% no, that was, I think, the instant that I said, wow, okay, people need to know a little bit more about municipal finance, because our preferences change when prices are attached. And so I sought to educate people by writing a blog, on a fun blog on infrastructure and municipal finance. You know, fast forward to last summer when Great Plains Press knocked on my door and said, have we got an idea for you? So yeah, we're here today. So we're gonna have a lot of fun. This is, like, I promise you, the most boring part of the whole thing. But yeah, we're gonna play a couple of games so that you guys can win some prizes and maybe learn a few key municipal finance concepts as we go along. So Patty, you wanna
take it away?
Take it away.
This is not your baby shower games. You do not need to know about city finance, but you are going to learn a little bit more about city finances by playing this game. And maybe you realize why the potholes are there, right? That's kind of the goal.
That's kind of the goal. That's what we're looking for.
All right. So if you ever seen The Price is Right, I am Bob Barker. Or Drew Carey, depending how old you are. Yeah, come on, you guys. That's better. I need a little more energy. Everyone that's shopping at McNally is going to hate me today. All right, so I need 4 contestants up here, and the way I'm gonna choose you, yes, I know some names and I can call them. You know who I know. But I want some energy. I want some people. Come on, who wants to be? Julia, you're up. Come on. Come on up. Right, I'm in time, I knew that. Okay, guys. Women are representing as it should be, but I need a couple more. Let's see from the back there. Yeah, Rod, get up here. Let's see. I need one more. Let's see. Yeah, I love it. Don't make me call you, because yes, there we go. Sorry, what is it? Chris. I know your last name is Classic, right? All right. Okay, great. All right. So, Michel, can you tell us what is our first item up for bids?
Okay, our first item up for bids is city revenue.
Ooh!
The largest portion of which for most cities is property taxes. So we need to know for 2025, how much did the city of Winnipeg collect in property taxes?
It's not a comment.
It might be.
It might be. Okay, so the way this is going to work is these 4 contestants, excuse me, English.
We need your little boards there. So
Yeah.
you can write your prices.
Yeah, we'll get you the boards. But the way it's going to work is these contestants here will have to guess how much the city has collected in property taxes, right? They're going to write on this little board right here. And whoever can guess the closest number without going over will play the next game. All right, so that's how it's gonna work. So the question again, please, Michel.
How much did the city of Winnipeg collect in property taxes this year, 2025? Or plan to collect?
Yes.
$2.
That's right, the audience can
The audience
participate.
can help out.
You guys can shout out numbers here for these guys. There you go. Let's see.
Yeah.
The closest without going over.
Okay.
Okay, we're gonna do a countdown. We're gonna have 5 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, what? 2, 1. Don't show it. We're gonna do one at a time. We're gonna start with Julia.
I don't know.
Let's see. 2.8 billion. What do you guys think?
Over.
Okay, yeah. Clementine, let's see. $2,000. Yeah. That's what they're, yeah, 850 million. Okay. I think 350 million. And Michel, can you tell us please what the answer is?
798 million. The closest answer is 350 million.
Okay, you guys will have to stay up here because you're on. You still. Can you go to the side here? The 3 of you. Yeah, Rod 1. He gets to play the next game. You guys stand on the side. Yeah, you're gonna. Yeah, you won for now. You have to play this part. If you want to get a prize. Yeah. Don't worry, I'm really good at that.
All right.
All right. So the name of this game is Cliffhangers. So you will have to guess. Am I explaining or are you?
You can explain.
Okay, guess
You're doing great. Patty.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna guess the price of the items, and the little mountain climber dude goes up the number of steps you are off by. Guess 3 items without the dude flying off the cliff, and you win. Michel, what are our items today?
Okay, so we're going to talk about infrastructure deficits.
Ooh! Nobody knows what that is.
An infrastructure deficit, for those who don't know, is when a city calculates how much infrastructure work they need to do over the next 10 years. And then they look at how much money they have to do that. And however they're short, that's the infrastructure deficit. okay? In North America, it is an impossible number almost pretty much everywhere. So what we want to know for the first item, what is, in billions of dollars, billions with a B, what is Winnipeg's infrastructure deficit?
You guys can help him. Come on, show some numbers up.
5 billion, 50, 7.2. I'm gonna guess.
I got the first one way around.
$7 billion. $7 billion.
Yeah, it might be close to 10 now.
There we gotta get that. Okay,
Ready?
yeah.
Tough.
Sounds
Let's go.
I can't see.
Oh, you're gonna
Don't
get
worry.
the song too.
So we were off by one. The Winnipeg's infrastructure deficit is $8 billion over the next 10 years. So that, if you average that out over the next 10 years, that's $800 million per year that we are short for our infrastructure. If that number sounds kind of familiar, do you remember how much property taxes we are collecting this year? Yeah, less than that, 798 million, right? It's a big problem. Okay, next item, Rod. Now, we're gonna go west. We wanna know what Calgary's infrastructure deficit is.
More. The city though, yeah, the bigger the city, the bigger the deficit.
I'm gonna say I think 15. These are all random numbers. I think probably about 3 times what Winnipeg's is my educated guess. 24. And I'm gonna say 24 billion.
That's really high.
Uh-oh. That's good right there.
So you said 24 billion.
It's actually like 50.
You were off by 17 billion. Their infrastructure deficit is $7 billion. So a little bit less than Winnipeg. Still an impossible amount. Even with all that oil money, they managed.
The oil money.
They managed to do a little bit better than Winnipeg, but still an impossible amount to cover for Calgarians.
Commercial office property tax.
Also, exactly, oil headquarters pay a lot of commercial tax. So
Get you with the oil money.
here's the third one. You are 7 steps away from the edge of this cliff. Seven is still good. You'll get to the edge of the cliff. If you are off by 8, though, your little Hans dude is gonna bite the dust, I think. So, our third question, infrastructure deficit 4, going east now, the city of Toronto.
They don't got oil money.
And they're
very old metros.
Very old metros.
You did. Lots of infrastructure. 24.
$2. Nobody wants to shout any numbers at me.
It's gonna be insane.
I'm gonna go with 10 million final answer.
10 billion.
10 billion, okay. Toronto's infrastructure deficit is, I forget, hold on, 18 billion.
Oh, there was one?
Yeah.
I was one over?
One, yeah.
The oil money.
The oil money is wrong. So per capita and per dollar of GDP, that's actually less than Winnipeg's infrastructure deficit. It is, of course, in dollar amounts, a lot larger. They are also a much larger city. But even per person and per dollar of GDP, it is still an impossibly high number for anybody in Toronto to cover. And anybody who thinks that the province or the feds can help out has to remember that this is the case for every single municipality in the country. So if you add all those up, by some measures, somewhere between almost $1 trillion, there are some measures saying. So $1 trillion is not an amount of money that any order of government can help us cover. So that's kind of a sobering statistic. I know I think that kind of a damper on things here. Sorry about that.
You got it really somber and
there's good news. You guys are good news. This is good. This is good stuff. Okay, moving on.
Thank you so much for playing. Go sit down. You're gonna get a prize anyway. No. All right. Who's excited for the next round? Yay! All right. Are we going to get a volunteer from the audience, or am I going to have to volunteer somebody? Yes? All right. You're coming up here, Dylan. Yeah! All right. So, where is
It's over here. It's over there.
okay, great. Oh. All right, so are we ready for the next question?
Oh, we're back in now?
We're back in. Okay, so the way this is gonna work again, I'm gonna explain because you guys are a little too young for the prices, right?
Correct.
Clearly.
Yes, thank you.
Clearly. So
Very
we're going to guess this number, and the person who gets the closest without going over
Don't guess
will
too
move
much.
on to the next stage. All right, so Michelle, what's our next item up for bids?
It's a new car. Lane, a new car lane, sorry. The proposed widening of the Keniston Boulevard from 4 lanes to 6 lanes.
So wait.
Which is supposed to be, it's a widening to 6 lanes, but up to 8 or 9 lanes, depending on the intersection, actually. It will increase climate emissions. And according to the city's own reports, it'll also make congestion worse than it is today.
We have a lot of good news here today,
The city's
right?
cost benefit analysis shows that it has, the costs are higher than the benefits. But you know, luckily for us, it costs a lot of money. So what we want to know is how much money is the widening of the Keniston Boulevard, including interest, but just for the widening.
Just for the widening, so we're not talking about,
The bridge.
We're not talking about replacing any of the sewer pipes that they're doing. We're not talking about any maintenance on existing. We're just talking about
that one lane.
at the widening portion.
So this time, we're going to start with our newest contestant here, but we're gonna give you another 2 seconds. Is everybody ready?
I'm good. In how many, is this in millions or in total dollars?
Well, whatever you want.
$1.
You don't have to go down to the penny if that's what you're asking.
We're going to have to use Monopoly money for this, but yes. Okay, Dylan, let's start with you. Looks like you're ready. 500 million, what do you think? Good guess. All right. Clementine? $5,000. No, $50,000. Yeah, that's closer. Julia?
Hang on, I'm writing all my zeros out.
Okay, well, you just
17
write the
zeros.
word. I'm not a mathematician. I'm not gonna be.
Taking her down a peg,
I think it's a third of the total cost.
160 million. Okay.
That's it, 127 million.
He might.
Okay,
And the, can you guys hold it all up so we can see everything? All right, and the actual
retail
cost,
price.
the
The
retail
actual
price.
retail price is 265 million. The closest is Julia, 160 million. The total cost of the project is estimated to be 737 million, of which the city thinks 36% is for the widening. It's the kind of project that we are literally expropriating tax-paying properties and replacing it with pavement that we have to maintain forever. So we are reducing our income and adding an expense. So yeah, again, kind of a downer, but yay, Julia. We're gonna have a really fun game for you here.
I'm terrified.
You should.
Don't forget the oil money.
Never.
All right, so the next game we're gonna play is Plinko. Who knows Plinko? Yeah. So it's okay if she's too young for Plinko.
I definitely played this as a kid, but I'm pretty sure it belonged
Okay.
to my grandparents.
All right, so in this game, you get to start with one chip.
Mhm.
And for every item you guess correctly, you get an extra chip to use on the Plinko board.
Okay.
Michelle, what is our first item?
I don't quite remember. I'll have to flip it open.
Okay. We need a Vanna White.
We're doing great.
Right. But I'm not Vanna.
Okay.
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 Here we go.
We know that the city of Winnipeg from 2018 report has $35 billion replacement cost for all of its infrastructure together. With growth and inflation, that's probably north of $45 billion today to replace everything we own. Don't like to think about it, but everything we own eventually needs to be replaced. The question today, oh, I'm missing two parts.
So the total cost was 35 million.
The question today is, of that 40, well, keep that on for now.
Yes, sir.
Of that, we're bidding for chips here. So of that $45 billion, we want to know what that's made up of, right? So what we want to know is how much of that infrastructure is community services infrastructure, right? So that's
Parks,
pools, that's rec centers, that's arenas, libraries. How much of our infrastructure is, which percentage of that is community services? So we have a number here. You will need to remove either the first number or the last number in order to get the right percentage. So it's either 20% or it's 4%.
Oh, so this. Stop yelling.
She does not want your help.
I have a follow-up question. So in terms, oh yes, I have that.
Yes,
So total infrastructure spending that include, or total infrastructure
replacement
deficit
cost.
includes
Value.
roads, includes roads,
Includes-
pipes.
Out of everything we own,
Mhm.
which percentage is community services?
So either 20% or 4%.
20% or 4%?
4. I thought you were supposed to know this stuff. Didn't you write a book about this?
Getting the soundtrack.
So,
Your mom would like to know who you're texting.
okay, sorry, so you said 4%?
I think so. I'm not confident, but based on the state of our
Oh, it's not
pools and
working. Well, I don't know why my sound effect's not working. That's what I was working for. Ding, 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 ding. It is 4%.
Too many roads for it to be 20%.
We lose again.
Well, I win.
Right?
The game where no one actually wins.
Oh, this would be fun.
Okay, police infrastructure. How much of our infrastructure is police infrastructure? So this includes police stations, police cars.
But not salaries.
Armored vehicles, robot dogs, helicopters, all of that.
But not salaries.
So- Quads,
Because,
all of that. Is that 10% or 1%?
oh, definitely 10. I don't even have to think about that one. There's no way that the
This-
helicopter does not come.
This would be where I play the sad buzzer sound.
Wow. How much infrastructure do we own that the helicopter is only 1%?
Actually 1%, exactly, yeah. Yeah.
It's a
crazy, right?
terrifying amount of roads and pipes. 'Cause that
Okay.
helicopter was really
Water,
expensive.
sewer, and land drainage. This is all the pipes, all the underground infrastructure, the lift stations, the sewage treatment plant. Is it 34% or 40%?
Those are very close together.
I know.
Alright,
it's
I will
tricky,
pull
right?
the crowd on this one. Who thinks it's 34?
34.
Who thinks it's 40?
40.
Alright, we're gonna go with crowd consensus of 40 because those are too close together.
Ding, 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 ding. Okay, last one.
Please tell me.
You think you know this so well.
If it's not roads, I'm running out of things we own.
Roads and bridges! So of all of our infrastructure, how much is roads and bridges? 44% or 48%?
Well, what else do we own? So we've got community services, we have police things, we have water, sewage, and land drainage. So we've got 4 and 1, or 1.
They don't add up to 100. There are
They
other
do not.
categories. There are other categories.
What else do we
of
own,
infrastructure.
48.
48? Oh yeah, that's a good point. But transit, I still don't think owns that much stuff. All right, we'll try 48. I like these ones that were farther apart at the beginning.
We accidentally glued that one down, I think.
Oh,
Anyways, 48% is correct.
I don't like any of these numbers.
It's like you win by losing, or lose by winning.
So you'll notice that 2 categories of this add up to 88%. Just the roads and the pipes are 88% of our infrastructure. So when we say we have more infrastructure than we can handle, that we have these impossible infrastructure deficits for replacement costs. It's not the pools that are the problem. It's not the libraries that are the problem, because you can add up all of the other infrastructure, the libraries, the pools, the arenas, all the police stuff, all our computers, buses, fire trucks, everything. That's 12%. Roads and pipes, 88%. So
And bridges.
And bridges, which are a different kind of road. So it's a road over water.
Sky Road.
So
Or road over trains.
a road over trains, yeah. So, and of course, it excludes Arlington, and includes Louise Bridge for now. But that's 88%, right? So where we build things, how we build things, how we get around in the city matters a whole lot. And that's just a key point to remember. Okay, so now you get to play Plinko on your chips. You pull that up.
This is the part where it's mostly just luck, right?
Yeah, this is all luck. And I don't know, the red numbers are negative and the blue numbers are positive.
Really?
And so
I feel like you made
the
that
blue
up.
numbers, I did. So the blue numbers will add to your score, the red numbers subtract. If you end up at the end with a positive number,
You win. Can I just?
you win! No, you must play them. Okay, let them see where you're going. Yeah. Okay, cheer, everybody cheer.
This time. No, this time.
Sorry, Julia. Thanks for playing Plinko. Just goes to show with a lot of mega projects, they're very, very risky. And there's a lot of chances of losing all of our money. And so when we are as broke as we are, we shouldn't be betting the farm on red or on blue for that matter. We gotta do much smaller projects that are lower risk. Cool. That's round 2. Moving on.
Moving on. All right, I need another volunteer. Who are we gonna get to play now? And what's your name? Marianne, come on down. All right, so Michelle, what is our final depression? Final item of
This one's so fun.
Oh yeah. All right, let's see.
Okay, we're gonna talk about tax productivity.
It's so fun.
So we talked about revenue, now we talked about sort of the infrastructure expenses. Now we want to sort of mix the two together. We want to see on a given basis how productive our city is, how much Much in the same way as a farmer will want to measure its crop yield, right? If a farmer can produce 60 bushels of corn and another farmer produces 60 bushels of corn, the one did it on 1 acre of land and the other one did it on 10 acres of land. The one who did it on 1 acre is doing better because his input costs are lower. He's doing it on less land. It's costing him less money to produce the same amount of corn. So we want to do the same thing with cities. We want to know what is the total, we want to measure property value per square foot in the city of Winnipeg, right? So the property value is what we tax. It is the largest income source. So we want to know how much we're generating per square foot of land. Two reasons. One is we want to know how good we are at generating revenue, but two, the more square footage we use, the longer our roads, the longer our pipes, right? And so as we saw, that's 88% of our infrastructure. So we can get more productive on this way. We can reduce our infrastructure deficit that way. So we want to know citywide average for the city of Winnipeg of property value per square foot. What is the citywide average of all?
Square foot is like this size, right?
Yeah. So
Like
how much
one of
property
these
value
squares.
have we created per square foot?
It's property value, not property taxes.
Property value, so assessed value per square foot of land in the city of Winnipeg, average.
Wow.
What do you guys think?
10.
2.
Getting some numbers here. How are we doing, contestants? Are we ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're gonna start with our newest contestant here, who's trying to again do some.
Sorry, I'm trying to.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, she's an
So
engineer,
again,
folks.
reminder, the closest number without going over here, friends. Oh, good. Let's see. $900 per square foot. Is it? All right. Then we have $15 per square foot. Dylan, what is your answer? $40 per square foot. Clementine. $12 per square. Can you guys turn so that we can see what your values are here?
Okay.
All right.
The average property value per square foot, the average tax productivity in the city of Winnipeg is $32.43. $15 is the closest.
There you go. Come up here. And thank you very much to our 3 contestants left over. You guys can have a seat. Thank you. All right, so the next game is called High Low.
Okay, high low. So we have 5 properties here that you will need to sort in order of property tax, property value per square foot, from lowest to highest. Okay, so the properties we have are a house in Sage Creek,
Low.
a big box store,
Very low.
an Amazon warehouse,
Extremely low.
a small shop with an apartment on top,
High.
and a house in Elmwood.
High.
So just to clarify, these are property values.
Yeah, you want property value per square foot. Sort them from lowest to highest. We'll give you like, I don't know, 6.5 seconds.
Oh, that's different.
Oh, are you going high low?
So lowest to highest.
Oh, lowest to highest, gotcha.
It doesn't match the words at the top.
It doesn't match the words. But that's fine.
Yeah, come on, come on.
Okay,
All right, let's see.
how you feeling pretty confident?
Yes.
You're very confident. Have you read the book already? Okay,
Read the first page.
okay, well, let's get right to it. So Amazon warehouse, this is actually specifically the one on Regent Avenue West. And so it is, I forget its value, but it is on 14 acres of land. So it is generating $24.55 per square foot. That is lower than the citywide average. This is a big box store. I think you know which one it is on the Sterling Lion Drive or Parkway. It is generating $48.91.
Oh, so far so
So
good.
twice as much as the Amazon warehouse and a little bit over the city average. So
How
that's
many
all.
acres, I guess?
That one's on 27.1 acres.
Same size as the exchange.
So yes. House in Sage Creek. So far you're doing pretty good. House in Sage Creek. So this is a house on Diamond Dust Drive. I hope this is not your house, anybody. It's a house that's assessed at like $750,000. But it is an average house for that neighborhood. It is generating $74.03 per square foot.
Oh, wow.
You're doing pretty good, Chris.
Yeah.
You're doing really good. So now we have an average house in Elmwood. Again, I hope this is not one of my neighbor's houses that is here. It's a house on Hart Avenue, kind of a standard 2-story house in my neighborhood. And it generates, are you ready for this? Okay, we're trying to beat 7403. $115.08 per square foot. This is because this is on a 3,000 square foot lot. This is generating a lot of value for the amount of space it's taking up, for the amount of pipe that is in front of the house, for the amount of road that's in front of the house. It is, even though it's only assessed at $345,000 per square foot, per linear foot of infrastructure, it is a powerhouse. So this is a little shop with an apartment. This is actually just up the street from this house. Still in Elmwood on Henderson Highway. Little clothing store with an apartment on top. Chris, you feeling good about this?
You got it.
Yeah.
All right, here's the big reveal. Drum roll, please.
You'll get a t-shirt. Well, come back at the end. We'll get you your size. Yeah. So this is again a little mixed-use building, what they call something that was super common back in the day in our older iterations of our zoning bylaws and regulations. Nowadays, this is basically illegal to build. The lot is too small for what they say is allowed. There's a lot of red tape to build something like this nowadays. Very difficult. This again, same thing. Small lots like this are sort of disallowed. Our zoning has a lot of like minimum lot widths that you need to meet in order to build a certain size house. On the other end of things, we have something like the Amazon warehouse, which literally will often get a direct financial subsidy to set up in our city. In addition to us ponying up to expand infrastructure, build out more roads, wider roads, to generate less property tax per square foot than even an IKEA, which again is not super stellar, right? So what we're seeing here is the stuff on this end is the stuff that costs us super huge amounts in infrastructure money while generating less money, and also sometimes getting direct subsidies, whereas the stuff on this end, which is super productive, often is not even allowed to be built anymore because our zoning is too restrictive. So again, not to put too much of a damper on it, but that's that. So I think you guys learned a lot of stuff today. We had a couple of winners. How many people won?
We had one winner.
One. Okay, you
will all come back here and get a prize.
At the end, come back. We'll get you one of these nifty t-shirts.
Consolation prize.
So afterwards, come back and we'll get you your right size. We have some in the back here. But I also want to draw two more for anybody who's in the room. So I don't know. Does anybody have a birthday today?
Yesterday.
Oh, I'm gonna go closest without going backwards. Who's got the next birthday? Tomorrow? The 12th? Anybody before the 12th? Me? Anybody else? June 2nd is the date to beat. Okay.
When is yours, Joe? 6th. The 6th.
Okay. Now we got to figure out another way to give out this last one.
Favorite color?
Who got their first book the earliest here? When did you get your book?
That was me.
Yeah,
That
Julie,
was-
you were literally the first.
Literally, I came in and they had to go get the box out of the back and cut it open.
Okay, but you already got a t-shirt.
Yes.
Who else? When was that, Julia? When was that?
I don't know, Rod texted me about it, so he was here pretty shortly after.
I'm pretty sure some people pre-ordered before that. though.
Yeah, who pre-ordered? There we go, Andrew. All right, Andrew. You
Okay,
can come back.
so, yeah, I don't know, how about a third one? Let's
Yeah.
do one more.
Yeah,
We
sure.
got a bunch. Who wants a t-shirt? First hand up.
Yeah. Oh.
I don't know whose hand that is in the corner there, but you.
What's your name?
Holly.
Holly,
Okay,
all
you come
right.
see us after. Okay, so they'll give away 6? That's
Yep.
good. Okay, awesome. Let's
Thank
go.
you.
Amazing, thank you. Was that fun?
All right, so we're moving on to the Q&A part of the evening. And if you haven't read the book and you have some questions about, are we really gonna get out of this? Someone please ask that question, that'd be great. And John will bring, yeah, here we go. Who's gonna, there we go. Joe is gonna ask us a question.
Hello. My question is, if you were, kind of crowned the king of Winnipeg and could,
I accept. Bring the crown.
yeah, the king of Elmwood. What would be the most direct plan to pull us out of the debt spiral that we're in?
Yeah, so it's important to remember that we are not alone. We are not the only city that this is a problem for. This is a widespread North American phenomenon that started about like post-World War II. And we drifted as a continent, we basically drifted away from traditional ways of building cities into kind of what is an experiment in how we build cities. And so we are not the only ones that are facing this. So and it's taken 80 years to get to where we are today. So there is no magic solution that will get us out of this year or next. It took 80 years to get here. It's going to take a while to get us out. But what we can start doing is to stop doing the wrong things and start doing the right things. And so the wrong things are, when you can't afford the roads and pipes you already have, you stop adding more. Right? That is the first thing. You're over your head, you don't add anymore. The second thing you start doing to sort of reverse that trend is you start to make better use of what's already there, right? And so if there is not enough productivity per square foot, you have to add more productivity per square foot. That means intensifying our neighborhoods gradually over time. It means making better use of our transportation, making more efficient use of that transportation infrastructure that's already there. So that's going to mean switching some of the space that we've allocated to inefficient modes and adding more space to efficient modes. Right? You move a lot more people on a sidewalk or in a bike lane or in a transit lane than you can move in a car. Right? And so we need to make those changes. We don't have any money, right? However, we are spending $160, $170 million a year on maintaining the roads we already have. There's nothing that says we have to put them back in the same way they came out. And in fact, they should be different, right? We should start to recognize, how do we create more value with what we already have so that we allow more intensification and we allow moving more people in the same space using the money we're already spending. If we can start to do that, we're gonna start to reverse course of it. Things will maybe keep getting a little worse for a little bit at a time. It's like trying to move like a big ocean liner. There's a lot of financial momentum that's built up that still has to work its way through the system. So all the more reason to start today. The best time to start was 80 years ago. The next best time is today. So that's a long answer for a very short question, but.
Beyond writing the book and having the blog and creating all this awareness, we know you're also quite involved, say, in your community locally and beyond the province.
Get to the question, sir.
This is going to be a very long question for maybe a very short answer. I'd like to know, what have you worked on, or what are you currently working on that would help cities perhaps move forwards in the right direction?
Yeah, so I think when I said that I was hopeful, when I see all of you here, I mean it, because this is something that, one king can't do. This requires everybody. We all have to be contributing in some way, and there is no contribution that is too small. And so if your contribution is to write to your counselor, write to your counselor. If your contribution is to become bicycle mayor and advocate for better bike infrastructure, then do that. If you want to speak in favor of intensifying our neighborhoods through more zoning relaxations, do that. But it all starts somewhere, and it starts with relationships with your neighbors. It's gonna be a messy process to transition back towards a financially sustainable city. There are gonna be trade-offs along the way, and it's gonna be difficult. And so we need to have open and honest discussions as neighbors and as community members. And so that starts in your neighborhood. And so, yeah, if you are not part of your community association, if you don't have a community association, maybe start one and start doing community events so that you can meet your neighbors, and then your neighbors can get to know each other, so that you can have these difficult discussions that we're gonna have over time. Yeah.
You can also run for council if you want.
You can also run for council if you want.
Don't do that.
I have a question. So you mentioned that the two later ones of these dollar value per square foot were basically illegal now. How do we go about as a city gaining the skill to build those again? Never mind just the zoning, but like actually having people that can do that sort of builds.
So a big part of it is to legalize small again, right? So anything that restricts building small things is going to be an impediment to that. But once we've taken those impediments out of the way through our zoning, then it becomes easier, because instead of having developers do things to our neighborhoods, we become developers, right? The same way we would renovate our kitchen, or put an addition on the house, we can start to change our homes, change our properties to meet our needs, right? As we have aging parents, maybe we want them to live close by in an adjoining suite in our own home. We should be allowed to do that and to evolve that just with a building permit, just something that we can do. And that's a citizen as a developer. That's us starting to build those skills and build that those resources in our neighborhoods. It's the same way we used to do 80 years ago, right? In my neighborhood, we have 100-year-old houses. I don't know a single person that doesn't have some remnant of a second kitchen upstairs, right? People were just allowed to adapt and evolve according to their needs. And so we need to get back to that on a very small scale.
And your renovators want to do it.
And your renovators want to do it, apparently. You heard it here first, folks.
I have to say, this is probably the most fun, engaging, and creative book launch I've ever been at, Michelle. I want to play these games with city councilors and administration. And I also want to follow up on the game, the last one, where you were looking at tax productivity by type of development, and particularly the Sage Creek, which also has a lot of apartments. Maybe some of them are condos, but there is a lot of density, and then there's the houses that you described. So I guess I'm wondering, maybe two parts. How do we increase the tax productivity in those new suburban neighborhoods? Because it seems like a lot of the infill is not going in those neighborhoods, and they have the worst tax productivity. And do all those apartments make up for some of that in terms of the overall suburban neighborhood?
Okay, so they don't. They basically help those neighborhoods get back to the city average. basically, so they balance it out. But I think it's important to remember that density is not like the magic metric here. It's one of many things, right? We can add density like we are doing in our new suburban neighborhoods. We're adding apartment blocks, we're adding density there. But it also matters how we add it, right? If it is a 20-story apartment building surrounded by parking and separated from all of the amenities that you need on a daily life, from groceries to what else do you do in it? Schools, banks, whatever. Dentists, thank you so much. I don't know why I blanked on groceries. Those people need to drive everywhere. And so now you've just added a lot of cars essentially close together, which is the worst of all worlds, right? Adding dense development in a car-oriented manner is the worst of all worlds. And so it's no surprise that people are hesitant or violently push back against that, because it is literally the worst. So we need to, again, do it in an incremental fashion, smaller scale in existing places, and that includes our existing suburbs. The rules need to be such that the people who live there can also meet their needs by slowly evolving over time, right? So that a house can add a granny suite or an apartment for a college student. That needs to be able to happen there as well, on the same level as even our inner city neighborhoods. We are close to out of time here.
All right.
Nellie's like super strict.
We'll go quick. So as I'm sure many of us know, there's some big things coming up at City Hall, but if you are one of the people who has recently read this book and now is going, what do I do? Which upcoming reports, consultations, projects would you suggest folks go out and what do you think people should be advocating for in the next few months?
This is embarrassing. I haven't read the book. Just kidding. Yeah, there's a couple things coming up. Is next week, it's too late to register, sorry, but next week are the public hearings on the zoning upgrades, which are not perfect, but they're better than what we have now. It's a good step in the right direction, so we don't want to let the perfect be the enemy of good.
So public hearings, they legally have to let you if you show up and say you're for or against something.
Okay.
It's written in the rules, they can't.
I'm not going to repeat that in the mic because that is unverified information. Just kidding, I don't know, but it's possibly true.
Public hearings, they always, when they're done, they say.
And then another report that is supposed to be coming in June is on residential speed limits. There's a report that may or may not recommend lowering to 30. From a financial perspective, if you're looking at the big picture of financial perspective, if we are trying to increase our productivity, and we obviously can't, like I said, we can't do it in a car-oriented fashion because then we just make everything worse. We need to make it easier, more pleasant, more convenient for people to choose to walk or bike or take transit. And for them to do that, it needs to be safe. World Health Organization recommends that where vehicles mix with pedestrians and cyclists and transit users, that the maximum speed limit be 30. So that is the direction we need to be headed if we want more people to make those choices, because that's what we want. We don't want to force anybody, but everybody has a different threshold for choosing another mode once the opportunities are there. But first of all, the lowest bar we have to set is it has to be safe. And so 30 kilometers is that safe barrier. So that report also coming.
So call you counselor and say, I will support your vote for 30 in residential streets.
And if they don't, let's vote them out.
Yeah.
Wow, I got real political all of a sudden.
Oh,
Crazy.
It's like you write about politics or something.
Yeah, I wrote about policy, not about politics.
How do you get the politics?
And we have one final important question.
Yeah.
Okay. Why do you put more place on the roads when we don't really need it? And why don't we put more dentists or groceries closer for you and less cars and more buses to put less cars and help a bit more the earth and everything? And why not put more garbage everywhere else?
Out of the mouth of a future voter.
Yes, and it's possible city councilor. You're gonna be.
I promise you that wasn't a plant.
What is your name? Leo.
Leo is not my
Leo.
nephew.
No. And we will be voting for you for council. Michelle, I'd love to give you the last word here.
I don't have anything to say. I think I said a lot. I did have something to say. I don't know why. No, I think, like I said, I think the more people we can have understanding the financial part of things, I think the better off we'll be. Like I said, people's preferences on things change when the prices are attached. So if we can understand the long-term implications of our decisions, we can have real adult conversations about the serious trouble that we're heading towards. You know, our city provides really important services, the stuff that we touch every day, clean drinking water. You flush a toilet, it goes somewhere that you hope isn't the Red River. You know, you put your garbage out and it gets picked up. Like, this is really important stuff. It also is like quality of life stuff, like pickleball, like libraries, like pools, like parks. And so it is really touching our everyday lives. And so a city has to be able to provide that, not just today, not just tomorrow, but every day forever, right? And so we need to know as citizens and as co-owners whether our city can actually afford to keep doing that. So thank you for coming, thank you for reading the book, and thank you for buying 12 copies each. I really appreciate it. Tell your friends.
We'd like to thank McNally and Great Plains. Thank you everyone for coming. The next book in the series is written by a female loudmouth in the city called Patty Weins. And it's called That'll Never Work Here, because that's what I usually hear from city councilors whenever I have an idea. And you've heard that said also. One of the things that came to me when I was writing this book, that's coming out at the end of October, is that a lot of the voices speaking about urbanism are male, and that's okay. We need lots of people.
Sorry about that.
No, it's good. We need to talk about it more. But we're missing half the population that is also responsible for 80% of the GDP, that is the females. So I started a podcast. I've recorded 11 episodes. The second episode drops this week on Wednesday. It's called That's Her Problem. And you can go to pattybikes.com and connect to the podcast from there. This week's guest is Sarah Goodyear from The War on Cars. Really excited about this whole thing. Thank you so much for coming, and have a very good night.
Thank you so much, both of you. We will be moving along to the signing portion of the evening right now. So again, we will ask you just to remain in place for one moment. We're going to transport Michel over to the signing table. Then you can all join us and get in line. Please feel free to get a copy of the book signed before you pay for it, but please do pay for the book before you leave. We are shameless capitalists in that way.
And those of you who want a prize, please come see Emma over here and collect your prize.
Yes, the t-shirts will be distributed over to the left. Thank you all so very much for being here, for your thoughtfulness, for your questions, for your attention. I will ask you to join me in 2 rounds of applause. The first is for our inimitable host this evening, Patty Weins. And huge thanks to Great Plains and Michel Durand.